When it comes to software in general, companies will often weigh the value of building software themselves versus just buying something off the shelf to solve their needs. This question commonly comes up in business intelligence as well. And we at Dundas actually have a bit of a unique perspective when it comes to this. You see, Dundas data visualization has been in business for about 30 years, and we started the business intelligence industry by providing raw tools for users looking to build their own custom dashboards. We were on the build side of build versus buy. When it came to these raw visualization components, we absolutely dominated the market. There's absolutely no chance you've missed using a Dundas component. It would have been a baked in thing in some application you've seen. For example, if you saw a chart on a website between the early 90s to late 2000s, it was probably a Dundas chart. That's how prolific this was. And it was so popular that Microsoft came in and bought up all this technology to embed within their own ecosystem. Now, simultaneously, after the Microsoft software acquisition, we were moving away from the component side and transitioning into a complete platform, more the buy side of build versus buy. So as you can see, we've actually provided both, and we have a pretty unique lens when it comes to understanding the decision of what goes into build versus buy. We shifted our entire business model from the build side to the buy side because that's where the industry was going. Let's look at some reasons why buy is better from a business intelligence standpoint. Oh, and speaking of building, I have a great joke on the subject of the roof. Actually, never mind, it's over your head. I'm Jeff, and this is Off the Charts with Jeff. Let's start by looking at a dashboard. On the surface, it doesn't seem like there's a lot going on here. But when you start peeling back, there are a ton of features that you would have to program manually if you wanted to implement even a basic dashboard with just a few of these that are evident on the surface. So to gain access to the dashboard, you probably would have had to go through some kind of login system. And usually these things aren't public. Do you want to export to Excel? Well, better write that. Looking for some form of interactivity? Well, everything has to be coded. And if you go down to the build side of the equation, you can see it gets very manual very quickly. Filtering, notifications, automatic coloring, text formatting, you name it. You want advanced visualizations like diagrams and maps. Every one of those has got to get built or bought. So it can very quickly become a very big endeavor. On the data side, which is completely hidden when you look at a dashboard at this level, there could be a ton going on. Dundas BI has an ETL layer which will transform and manipulate your data. And you could even send your data off to Python and get a Google TensorFlow neural net to allow for machine learning and pattern recognition on this dashboard before it's even to this point. So behind the scenes, so much going on. If you start even looking at a little bit of this, the idea of building this yourself very quickly becomes an impossibility. Dundas BI is a literal ocean of features. And this diagram here is a very nice look at some of the major features that are offered. And I could quite honestly do a major presentation on every one of these pieces here. Going out and buying a component gives you data visualization, sure, but nothing else. So every one of these would have to be built, and you can see that this would very quickly become an impossibility if you're going to do all this yourself. So that's kind of my perspective from the business intelligence standpoint. Now, when it comes to business in general, there's a lot of reasons why you might want to look at buy rather than build. You do need to consider the following. So first of all, build cost. How many people is it going to take you to build? Do you have the expertise? How long will it take? And what is the opportunity cost of deciding to develop something like this yourself? And what I mean by this is, could your developers be doing anything more productive with their time? And do they even have the specialization to build a system like this? Data visualization is a bit of a specialty, and many developers haven't even touched a graph since grade school. They may need to learn the basics of data visualization before even getting into something like this. Now, you've also got maintenance cost. Software is never build it once and forget it. Developers will always be needed to push updates, fix bugs, modernize things like security over time to ensure your software works smoothly and doesn't become a risk to your organization. Owning homegrown software is never free. Now, core competency. And what I mean by this is, how far away from building this are you from your core competency of your actual business? For example, suppose your company provides network technology allowing for fast business-to-business transactions. Building a business intelligence solution is a bit of a stretch from your core competency, and you should be focusing on that core competency to make more money. Just because you can develop something doesn't necessarily mean you should. Reliability. Reliability is a big one. Buying software off the shelf usually implies support of some kind or even consulting services or other long term help. What happens if you built something in house and all the developers over time have left the company? These days, the average employee stays with an organization about 3 years, and keeping these people knowledgeable about your solution is a problem. If you buy it, it's someone else's problem to make sure the software is taken care of. They'll make sure it works and it's always supported. Now, time to market. Another big one. I can tell you that the journey it took to get to the current version of Dundas BI was a long one. Development took well over a decade and probably 200 years worth of BI experience across the team. If you're going to build a homegrown solution that even does 1/10 of what Dundas BI does today, you're in for one heck of a time commitment and money, of course. Now, costs and licenses, speaking of money. Licenses for off-the-shelf software gives you nice predictability when it comes to cost. You know what your license costs are going to be as you're negotiating up front, and there aren't going to be any surprises. Well, at least with Dundas BI, there's not going to be any surprises. I can't talk about others. Building something yourself, you're not going to have a fixed cost. So figuring out what it will cost to regularly develop and keep this running is something you need to consider. Also, future and extensibility needs. Will this be an ongoing project? Well, more than likely, your needs are going to shift with time, and the complexity and the features that you require are going to grow. Dundas BI has an R&D team who are constantly innovating, scanning the market, and learning about new trends in business intelligence to better and better ourselves. It's our bread and butter. We also frequently have minor releases and major releases at least once a year, keeping up with the latest BI trends and concepts. Usually it makes a lot more sense to let someone else worry about the future of this sort of technology, whereas you can worry about your own business. So there you go. Hopefully this gives you something to think about when choosing between build versus buy on a solution standpoint. I also have a nice video if you're interested in this general area of BI called A Simple Way to Calculate the ROI of Business Intelligence. So if you're thinking of build versus buy, this might be a natural one for you to take a look at. Hope this helps, and thanks for watching.